Don't be afraid. You are safe here. What have you done? Why are they after you?
I'm a gypsy.
That's not your fault. It's an act of God.
Travelers, gypsies, Roma. 3 names, 1 ethnic group. A people originally from India and not Egypt, as was mistakenly believed when they first came to Europe in 1450, following the Mongol Timur and Turkish Sultan Bayezid I in their military campaigns. At first well received, gypsies started to be accused of being thieves, spies, cannibals, sorcerers, simply due to their different lifestyle that enabled them to work as breeders, smiths, or pitchmen. During their history, a lot of laws were enacted against gypsies throughout Europe, and Joseph II of Austria and Charles III of Spain alone did something for their inclusion in the period of enlightened despotism. The Gypsy Holocaust in Germany was one of the most atrocious gypsy persecutions, and was due to ancient superstitions, according to which being a gypsy meant being a cheat, a beggar, or a fortune teller. The deportation of gypsies started in 1906, and they became guinea pigs in Dr. Ritter's hands, whose assistant conducted studies to demonstrate that gypsy children had the nomadism gene. Then, in 1933, Germans began to carry out a sterilization campaign that lasted until the end of the war. In addition, there exist only a few documents written by a third party attesting to what happened to gypsies compared to the numerous testimonies of the Shoah, and people who are familiar with the German extermination policy will have realized it was not the same as that adopted by German collaborationist governments, such as Romania and Croatia. The gypsy culture is based on 3 elements: family, religion, and art. All the members of a gypsy family have the same importance, but there are very respected figures, such as parents, the elderly, or the wisest person of the group. The eldest members of the group form the Kris, a group which gathers to solve marriage problems or other kinds of arguments. Children follow in their parents' footsteps, and they are brought up to respect positive values for their family, which in that way can be defined as prestigious. Generally speaking, the wedding is established by elopement, and lovers are acknowledged as man and wife by their community when they return home. Although in some tribes couples are free to get engaged by choice, the marriage protocol is still patriarchal, and it envisages an agreement between the fathers who fix the price of the bride. Even if a lot of groups have adapted themselves to the customs of the host countries, they have not abandoned the ritual of defloration, where women check the bride's virginity before her wedding night, and a blood-spotted handkerchief is shown as proof of the consummation of the marriage. Nonetheless, the main goal of the marriage is procreation, that gypsies see as such an impure phenomenon that the mother is forced to live isolated for 15 days, and all objects she has touched and therefore contaminated are destroyed. The newborn is then baptized following the Christian rite, in order to rid him or her of his or her mother's impurity. Gypsies have long since adopted the Christian religion, mixing it with their pagan rituals and primitive beliefs. In particular, they believe in a pre-established destiny, based on elements such as happiness and adversity. However, elements shared with traditional Christianity are a God who acts for good in itself, and the conflict between good and evil that can be found even in their belief in spirits. In fact, gypsies believe in the fates of the woods, who can either drive men crazy or positively influence children's fate, or the goddesses of fate, who establish children's fate when they appear after childbirth. Witches were born from their queen, and their annual festival is celebrated on the night of Pentecost. The only mediator between the spiritual and earthly world is the sorceress, who must pray, predict the future, and intercede with the spirits. Gypsies believe that the spirits of the dead come back to revenge themselves through dreams or apparitions, but after a certain period they become ancestors who are well disposed towards the living. In spite of their Christianity, the Catholic Church has never canonized Sarah, the patron saint of gypsies, whose festival is celebrated in Saint Marie de la Mer. As legend goes, Mary Jacobi and Mary Salome, who were escaping from Palestine, landed in France thanks to Sarah. In Provence, the two Marys remained with Sarah, who helped them by becoming a beggar. On May 24th, the statue of Black Sarah is carried to the sea, where it is immersed to purify it. The two Marys are celebrated on the 25th, with the blessing of a bishop, and music, and dancing, until late at night. Gypsies are generally artistic, and particularly sensitive to the world of music and dance from a very early age. They express all the tragedy of their existence through the violin and flamenco. Flamenco comes from the slums of Andalusia, and only since 1783, thanks to Charles III, who started a process of modernization, have gypsies been able to express their art without restraint. In this case, to be flamenco is to transform life in a superfine, capricious, and free art, without accepting the chains of mediocrity, to place a bet on your life, to taste, give, feel, and live yourself. Today, the European Union counts from 9 to 12 million gypsies who live in a state of urban blight, above all in Romania and Bulgaria. According to the European Commission, it is the most discriminated population in Europe, where countries such as Italy and France recently decided to demolish nomad camps with the excuse that gypsies were a threat to public safety. On May 24, 2011, European leaders approved the European Framework for National Roma Inclusion Strategies, where they committed themselves to improving the current situation of the Roma in 4 areas: education, employment, health, and housing, thanks to ESF funding from 2014 to 2020. Until now, Spain alone has been able to implement an efficient inclusion policy, also thanks to the intervention of President of the Roman Union, Juan de Dios Ramírez Heredia. In fact, Spain has invested more money than other countries in Roma inclusion programs since 1978, focusing on more practical aspects than human rights and obtaining more results. This is why the European countries should model themselves on it and take the path towards the European dream, a new-reached multicultural world with diversity as its strong point.